Today's video, I am going to be doing a series on Unity. So yes, I'm taking a break from Python and we're going to be doing some different stuff. So we are doing Unity. We are going to be doing a 2D platform series. If you've never used Unity before or C#, this is a very good place to start. Anyways, let's get started. So all we're going to do is create a new project. We're just going to call this whatever. We're going to make sure it's a 2D core. Then we're just going to call this, I'm just going to call it YouTube tutorials. I can't spell to save my life, so okay guys, once your Unity is loaded, we are going to have to create we're going to have to set up the environment, which is pretty simple to do. So we're just going to be using sprites. So first, just make a 2D object. We're going to be making a floor. So how we do this is literally just do square, and as you see, we've got a square here. We're just going to call this floor, or we'll just call it ground because we're going to have multiple. And then we can just zoom in using the scroll wheel, and we're just going to move this down a bit. We're going to make sure it's like at the bottom of our screen. Minus 4.5 is perfect. So once you have done that, just we're going to stretch the scale out. So we're going to just put it up to, let's do about there. Let's just fill out the screen. And then we're going to change the color. We're just going to have something simple. So just a nice little pale red like that. There we go. Now we're going to create the player. So just go to 2D object and do the same thing. Square. And we're going to call him player. Now, once we have done this, we're just going to change him to blue, but a nice blue, so about like that. That looks good. The background is a little bit off, so we're just going to change the background to something. So you change the background, just go to main camera and just change this to anything you want. I'm just going to change it to like I just changed the background to like a dark grey, so it looks nice and cool, like it's dark themed. Now, once you have done that, we have got the player here. So if we play it right now, nothing is going to happen. You're just going to have two things standing there. And yeah, so we're going to add some components to them. So for the ground, we're going to have the box collider. So if we do box collider, make sure it's 2D. And you see this green thing here is going to put a box collider around here. But if we start it, nothing will happen. Now for the player, we're going to add a rigid body and a box collider. So if we add a box collider, and then we add a rigid body 2D, just like that. But you're going to notice something. If we click play, you will see that the square will drop just like that. And you got a square and with gravity. But we're also going to go on the rigid body 2D and go to constraints, and we're going to freeze the z-axis so it can't rotate because we don't want it to be doing circles, which will be pretty annoying. And now we can get to making the player move. So we're going to keep it all nice and tidy. So we're going to create a folder called scripts like this, and we're going to go inside it and we're going to create a C# script, and we're just going to call it player move. And now click on your player and scroll down on the right. What did I just do? And then drag this script over where it says add components and just put it on add components, and then double click there and you should be able to load up your Visual Studios. Once this is loaded, we're going to have to do a few things. So first we're going to have to get the rigid body. So how we do this is we just go public. No, actually not public. We can grab it for a private. And we're just going to do rigid body 2D, and we're just going to call this RB. And then we're going to go into the void start, so it makes sure at the start when you run the application, we're going to get the component, and we're going to get component rigid body 2D and just put brackets, and there we go. So this just grabs the rigid body. Now we're going to make the player move left to right. And how we do this is, it's quite simple, but we just have to write through variables. So we're going to have to do public. And then we're going to do a speed, so we can make it go a certain, speed. And then we're going to do also a private, and we're going to do a private float, and we're going to call this move. We don't have to do a private float because it just takes up more space. Instead, we can just do float, move, and then we can just do equals input. As we only want to go left and right, we're not going up and down. We only have to do this. So move input. So we're going to get axis, and we're going to get the axis of horizontal. So make sure you spell this correctly, otherwise it won't work. So I spelled it incorrectly, horizontal. There we go. And once you have done that, we're just going to actually give the move a some values. So do rb.velocity, so we grab the rigid body. And then we're going to make this equal to a new vector 2. We use vector 2 as we're only affecting the x and y. So we're just going to do speed times move. So ever what the number is for this, we're going to times it by the input. So basically the way you move it times is it. I can't really explain it. I'm not very good at explaining, but I'll show you. And then we're going to do rb.velocity and then we're just going to put the Y. Now that is literally all you have to do for to go left and right. So if we go into Unity here and we let it load, you're going to see at the player movement script, it's going to have a speed value. So if we go scroll down here, got speed. So let's just change this to 10 and save. And now if we play, we might move a little bit faster. I don't know how fast 10 is. So yeah, as you can see, we can move left and right. Nice and simple. I'm also going to tell you in this video on how to make your player jump, because left and right's quite boring. We want to, you know, get a platformer. So if we're going to have to get a input key, but before we do that, we're going to have to make other values. So we're going to have to get a public float, and we're going to make this jump. And then we're also going to get a public, ball. And basically, this is, if it is jumping, then it will be checked physically, because we don't want to keep double jumping. We don't want to keep flying in the air. But how we do this is pretty simple. We're just going to do if the input dot get key down, key down, and then we're just going to go, or get button down, actually, not key, button down. We're just going to do jump. So basically jump stands for the space bar, and is jumping equal to false. So if jumping is equal to false, if you're not jumping, it's going to be false. And then we're just going to add false. So rb.add false, and we're going to add false basically to the Y. So we're going to do new vector 2, and then we're going to do rb.velocity, and then .x. So this just keeps it, well, wherever it is. And then we're going to do jump, and this puts the values of what you have entered for jump. So now we have done that, we're just going to do debug.log, so we can actually see that it's jumping. Like, it gives us a message that it's logged. So jump, and should be it for that. The only thing is we've got to check. So this is all good. This will work if we jump. I will show you. So as you can see, it works in that, but you can see we double jump. So we need to make sure there's a collision. And where the hell did this cube go? There it is. So yeah, so we need to do collisions. So how we do collisions is pretty simple. So before we do collisions, we're going to create a tag. So for the ground, so we're going to do add tag. Make sure you clicked on ground, and then we're going to add a tag called basically ground. And then we're going to save it. Make sure the tag is assigned to it, to ground. Now, once you have done this, just head back over. So now we're going to have to check that it's off the ground and on the ground. So we do a private void on collision, just like this, into 2D. And it should fill it all out for you, just like this. Now we're gonna get the basically we're gonna get the game object. So if we do collision.game object, so this grabs the game object the script is assigned to, and then we're gonna compare tag, or you can do get tag. I think, what is it? Tag, compare tag. There was another one. Target tag. That's it. You can do get type, but we're gonna do compare tag. So if we compare tag and we set this to ground, it's got to be exactly the name of the tag itself. And then we can just make is jumping equal to true. So basically, if the collision.enter, so if you do not true, I meant false. So if you do hit the ground, it will make is jumping false, and that means that you can't use this function again. Now we need to make sure it also exits. So we do this by doing private void on collision, and then exit 2D. And then we can just do basically the same thing, but the opposite. So if collision, collision dot game object, so we've got to grab the game object, compare tag, and then if it's equal to ground, then all we're going to do is jumping is equal to true. Just like that. So basically, if we are jumping, it's going to be false. And then once we hit the ground, once we collide with on the exit, then it's going to be true. Okay, now let's play this, and it should hopefully work. By the way, if you go on your player here, make sure you set this to like the jump to like 500, and then save that. And then if we play now, as you see the box there, if we jump, it's going to be checked, and now if we click it again, it won't work. But as soon as we hit the floor, it will work. So we can just see like this. Also, if you don't like it floating like this, it's pretty simple to fix. If you look at the gravity scale, you can change that to like 3, for example, on the rigid body, and then it will jump like this, see? And you can just get a little bit of a more realistic bounce. So in the next video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to let the camera follow the player. So when we move, as you can see, we are not going anywhere. The the guy just goes off the screen when we don't see. So next video, I'll be telling you how to do a moving camera and add in. I might do. So yeah, so make sure you drop a like and subscribe, and I might add in a respawn. Bye bye.